I'm going to go through this pile. I'm going to go through this pile. And then I'm going to go through that pile.
Show that.
Oh, I
stack.
know.
Pick that up. Show.
Oh, listen.
Show.
I said, well.
Pick that stack
Yeah.
up.
These, just some of the questions.
Some.
Just a few. Some of the questions.
The others haven't even been.
I know. Well, we're getting there.
Have fun.
Thanks. Thanks, Drew. Thank you. Good day, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be with you and spend time with you. It always is. And, oh yeah, that would work. You know, one time we didn't do that. We ran out of juice.
Take two.
Yeah, take two.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
Good catch, though.
Yeah, in real time. Yeah, I ought to take this camera and go walking around and show you, you know, how we've expanded and what we've done with the place. But they'd probably kill me back there. All the ladies that didn't dress, you know, because we're pretty laid back here. You know, I believe in that you should enjoy your work and be laid back and enjoy everything you're doing and work with honesty and everything. And so we have a good crew now, I think, that does well with that, you know. It's not always easy to find people. You know, the way the medical doctors have treated and used this ridiculous concept of diseases has left a lot of people literally ratted out. Look at the treatment for Lyme's as an example. And here's a good example. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday that drove all the way here from Cal, Southern Cal. And, you know, the sad thing is that, and this is a young chap, that the medical doctors put a lot of fear in him with the spirochete syndrome and the bacterium that hides in the spirochete crap and all that stuff like that. I think if you really stop and think about this and understand that, how much the lymphatic system is at issue here, that any way you look at health and symptomology, symptoms, you're going to find the lymphatic system always sitting there involved, always. You are also going to see predominantly the acid side of chemistry sitting there on you as well. I don't care what they say. And so when you approach that understanding, and you understand that in anatomy and physiology, we still have things to learn, and we must come back to the gigantic sewer/immune system of the human body, the great lymphatic system, and gain a newfound respect for this system, because this is the symptom or the system of all inflammation, of acidosis, of the breakdown, the mutation of tissue, of the cancer side or the damaged cells, that sort of thing. Look at that gigantic sewer system. So when you understand that cells in the body can be damaged or weakened by these acids, very rarely invasion, but let's say you have cells that are invaded by spirochetes. Let's just say that for an example. You understand that your immune system is designed to take these cells and terminate them. And generally, the spot of termination is in the lymph nodes, not interstitial. That's the problem, is that it's hard when you have raging acidosis in the liver, let's say, and you're trying to get to that through the lymph system, because the blood, you can't get there. I mean, you can get there through chemistry and through putting herbs and stuff. The blood's going to bring in the power and the goodies, no question. But you have a stagnant, major system, remember, 3 to 4 times bigger than the blood. It has become dehydrated because of the acidosis, of the acids that system is required to deal with. And the unawareness of humans in the fact that dietary consumption must be on the predominantly base side to maintain an equilibrium of chemistry in the human body. You know, I was listening to Discovery Channel the other day in a story on black bears, and they were saying that surprisingly black bears hardly eat any meat. So I think it's important to take another look at the true dietary habits. I like this one show, Unearthed, something like that, how they're showing that the Vikings came to America way back. He's an archaeologist, and he's kind of into the lunar archaeology, so to speak, or the astrology archaeology and that sort of thing. And I just like to see all the neat things. And his big thing is that, of course, history has been reported a lot of times untruth or aberrated to a certain extent. So the bottom line is the past is the past. No one really knows everything about the past, and one must live always in the present moment. Because we go back and we unearth and we find, oh no, we were wrong there, and oh no, we were wrong over here, and no, we were wrong over there. And that's the problem with the mind. So let's go back and thinking about cells that are damaged, and the body has to get rid of them. When you have a stagnant, dehydrated, lipid-based fluid, that's what you're seeing most of the symptoms man deals with. And when you see that and you realize that cells must be taken and constantly broken down by macrophages in the lymph nodes, not through the blood, through the lymph system and in the lymph nodes, you start to understand when those lymph nodes are blocked and full and swollen, and the pathway of movement through the kidneys and the skin is blocked, and there's no filtration, then you don't have a way to get these cells interstitially in the tissues that makes up the tissues to the lymph nodes. So you're going to have a raging decay in the tissue itself. And that's what you see. And this is still all about stagnation and a lack of filtration through the three kidneys of the human body. Remember, the skin being the third kidney, and you're going to go to the thyroid to look at the skin, because if you're not getting into the mid-97s basal temperature-wise, you're not going to be sweating well. And if you don't sweat well, you're not going to be able to keep cleaning subcutaneously, meaning right under the skin, which is hooked to the lymph nodes. And of course, all this system is hooked: kidneys, lymph nodes, skin, interstitial cells. And so, understanding that, some people that are taught about these spirochetes and stuff, they just, life's over, it's done. And we've talked about these before in past videos. You can't let medical doctors take your joy, fill you full of fear, and then you're wandering around. Massive antibiotic use. Antibiotic use, period, is a huge no-no. If there is some cases essential, but it is rare. And those cases where you see aggressive activity of bacterium, most of that is lymphatically involved. Most bacterium are not for the cells, they're for waste. But cells have to be broken down, no question. All things have to be broken down to the atoms again. That's why it's so important to keep this system, this sewer system, moving. Because if it's backed up, it's no different than backing up in your house and overflowing out of your toilet. And that's what's happening. So when this begins to happen, cysts and tumors and boils and pimples are formed. Pustulas. It's the lymph system finding a way to express itself outwardly, to get itself, the body, to get these wastes outside of itself. And it struggles in any way and every way possible to do that. Look at all the skin conditions. Those are lymphatic conditions. And for a dermatologist not to understand the lymph system and acids and the relationship of that skin confuses me. Confuses me, to say the very least. And disappointing, to say the very most, that you have professionals out there helping people with creams and things that actually are serious, causes serious problems, like all your corticosteroid creams. They're ruining people's adrenals, and they just don't get it. And it's time we all come together as practitioners and unite at these higher levels of healing and change the scope of our healing on the planet. And it will also change the scope of economics big time. So I want to catch up with some of these, because as you've seen, we're we're loaded down with questions. Indiana Banana, I'm going to call you here in a little bit about the brain tumor, so by the time you see this, I'll already talked to you. You know, some of you guys are working on some tough cases. And I'll tell you something, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for standing up and not being fearful and going right into it, rolling your sleeves up and helping others and helping yourselves. I'm real proud of you guys, because there's a lot of propaganda out there, and you guys are sifting through that. And we sifted through a lot of people because a lot of people run with fear. And a lot of these antibiotics and corticosteroid creams and things like this screw your mind up after a while. And people then get psychosomatic. They get all kinds of problems because they run with fear and pain, constant pain. So after years of this and going from one medical doctor to another, you can imagine the state of people's minds. And this is to you medical doctors. Do you realize what you're developing out here in the private sector? And I want to say this to the government. There's a war brewing out here. The Texas judge said that in America there's a war brewing. And it's, it's serious. And they might get it. But it's enough to say that you can't keep hurting people and treating symptoms and locking people into Hellville to where they're staying years in pain and misery, because for you practitioners, this is bad karma, especially medical doctors that are doing that. I can't escape karma, and neither one of us can. No master can escape karma. You can't do it. You're not above anything. You're not below anything. We're all the same. It just is. And it's a world of cause and effect. And it doesn't matter who you are, and it doesn't matter what cause and effect. It's simply cause and effect. That's why it's always good to be honest. It's always good to be loving. It's always good to hug people. It's always good because you remember, you get back what you give. And that's as true today as it's ever been. So you have to look at some of these spiritual principles, in your own lives and realize, everything comes back to you. That's the problem. So everything that goes out from you, is going to come back sometime or other. Maybe not even in this lifetime. That's why people get confused. They see people in wheelchairs and they see people suffering and they go, and I'm bad at that. But I know that it's their karma, that they've done something to someone else in the past, equivalent or close, and they're having to go through. That's the only reason you see these things. God doesn't say, I'm going to put you in a wheelchair and I'm going to give you several $1 million. No, this is all how we develop and create, and that's what it's designed to do, is show you that your mind and emotions is the creating force of your experience. And you're allowed to do that in the context of already created creation for now, and then you get to start your own worlds. I mean, it's amazing what's taking place, So learning how to control that mind and those emotions and not being the effect of those bodies are vital to a survival of the soul, of you. And so you want to gain control of these aspects. And the only way to do it is stop using them. That's simple. When someone says stop using your mind, the average intellectual would freak. But there's a time to hold them and a time to fold them. There's a time to think and a time to take a break and just be. And we need to teach that academically, of course. All right, enough of that. I'm a recent YouTube subby. So very blessed to have found you all the same. Blessed to have you aboard, my friend. Just seeing your joyous face. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. This is Cindy. Hi, Cindy. I think I am the person that can stump you. Okay. I love that. If I get stumped, I'll give you a big hug. I am 58 years old. All right. Had a complete hysterectomy 14 years ago. All right. Sad stuff, isn't it, that we have to, lose body parts in our lives like this. You didn't say if it's a complete or partial. Oh, complete. Yes, you did. Sorry. Complete hysterectomy 14 years ago. Complete means that they took the ovaries with it. If they don't take the ovaries with the uterus and they're thinking they're going to leave the ovaries in for a little estrogen or progesterone, they don't know what they're talking about, because the ovaries are exclusively for the uterus. And when the uterus is removed, the ovaries generally atrophy and decay away. Now you're expected to use adrenal estrogen for vaginal dryness, for vaginal moisture and stuff. And you've got 2 other forms of estrogen. About a year later, I began to attempt suicide 12 times, was hospitalized, and was court-ordered to have over 20 ECTs. Holy crap, that's a lot of meds. I've left with very little memories of my past. Oh, honey. Including being blessed with 4 children. Oh, man. Math spelling, ability to learn new things as well is pretty much gone. Yeah, I do have some depression now, mostly anxiety to the point of rarely leaving my house. I was put on immediate disability. Pretty sure a doctor knew without question he ruined my life. Yeah, you see, medical doctors, I want you to hear these letters like this and know that this is coming mostly from you guys. And those of you that are on our team, love you guys and appreciate you aboard. And we have to get to your other comrades and help them, because these kind of cases like this are sickening. And I never, and I'm sure none of one of you either, never want to have someone that said we ruined their lives because we destroyed tissue. You can have people bitch that they didn't help you, or bitch because of this or that, but in reality, everything they're doing is rebuilding and cleaning their body, whether they realize it or not. We don't kill. The proof of that is look at the CDC Center's statistics on deaths. Last year, over 1 million people died allopathically. 1 million people. Boy, that's scary. And naturopathically and homeopathically, none. So this is a scale that's way out of balance. And the governments can't keep suppressing those healers that are helping and cleaning up the mess of the AMA. We can only do so much of that. Okay, my question is there hope for me? And you're not stumping me one little bit, so I still get the hug. Can the brain regenerate? Absolutely. Every cell in your body can regenerate. The question is, can you ride the ride? It isn't that your body. Can your body do it? Can you do it? That's the point. When you're looking at an individual, you have components that you have to work through, which most of you are aware of. You have emotional components and you have mental components. The emotional components are basically controlled by the chakra of the adrenals, and the thought or the mental issues are controlled by thyroid and parathyroid. And these are chakras. These are energy centers related to your other bodies. Your thyroid and parathyroid, this is related to the mental body. Your adrenals to your astral body, no question. Okay, it's okay, Dr. Morris, if you can't. I will still continue to watch you, read your book, and try to learn. You know what, Cindy, there was I won't mention any names, very famous guy, and he had a syndicated radio show. And one lady called in, and I think she had MS or something like that. And she asked him, is there anything that the natural health field, as if this guy represented all of us, anything in the natural health field that can help me overcome my neurological issues? MS, as the medical described her. And he said, no, not at this time. And I wish I had a phone in my truck, and I wish I'd have had the phone number of that joker, because here's a famous guy, wrote some books, got his name out there, can't cure nothing. This is common stuff that's out there. And these people have attitudes and boast with opinions and stuff like this, that sort of thing. And you just... You have to be careful. There's nothing, and don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't rebuild yourself. Don't take no for an answer ever. Sir, you can, Cindy. You know what? Upper circumbraining nerve, number 1 and number 2. Detox these meds out. The body we rebuild. Get your lymph system moving. Obvious adrenals, parathyroid for depression and thyroid. Take some glandulars. Get the thyroid and parathyroid up. Get your lymph cleaning your brain and cleaning your body. Get your adrenals up to get the autonomic up. Get into the kidney formulas, the adrenals, the formulas. Do the thyroid, parathyroid a little bit. Let someone help you here. And rebuild yourself. You don't have... There is total regeneration, honey. Brain, I don't care what tissue. Now remember, when you're talking about neurological tissue, central brain, autonomic, parasympathetic, sympathetic, the worker nervous system. All right, these systems are energetic systems. So don't think you can rebuild the nervous system on dead tissue, cooked foods, or even vegetables. Impossible. As far as I'm concerned, I've done this so many years, and if someone's getting regeneration of man's nervous system eating meat, I'll quit. Because I've just never seen anything like that. The nervous system is such a difficult system to rebuild. It's amazing because it's such an energetic system. That's why I need fruits and berries, fruits and berries, fruits and berries, and lots of berries. Notice the beautiful berries. They're all for the glands. So I'm going to ask me again about the kidney herbs, and I was thinking, for some reason I never can remember juniper berries because I don't know why. You get kind of a blank on some words and stuff, but berries, and I love juniper berries for kidneys, one of my top ones. Yeah, but the berries, all endocrine glands, just good for the body. Highest nutrition, I think, on the planet between the berries and the fruits. Picked ripe, grown ripe, that sort of thing, of course. So, Cindy, don't sit there and take nothing. You've been to Hellville big time. Now, drive your car to Wellville, and you can do it. And I'll be glad to help you do it. How about that one? All right? But get on that raw food. You want 100% raw. Clean all these meds out of yourself. Rebuild the nervous system. Some of those are neurotoxins, of course. Just slams and makes you worse. Get your glands up. They probably suppressed your glands as well. So you got to get your adrenals up, your parathyroid. That's depression, adrenals, anxieties. Get these things up. Strengthen that nervous system, the myelin sheaths, and that's more neurotransmitters, which comes out of the adrenal glands. The upper circuit, brain and nerve, get activity going upstairs. Clean the sinuses, clean the acid and the lymph, the inflammation out of the head and the cerebellum. And you'll rebuild yourself. And then you can go in and slap them in the face. All right, this is Joshua Brown. Hi, Dr. Morris. I have written you before, and your responses to me were so exciting and very inspiring. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. I wanted to give you an update on my progress and where I am going with all of this. So I've been mostly raw for just over a year now. Pretty good. I mean, you guys are tearing it up. No one's over anybody with a club, and we don't judge on this in our school and our club here. We don't judge people. There's no judgment here at all. So you do the best you can, you tear it up if you can, you do the very best you can. And if anybody's out there judging others, let me remind you that karma isn't fun. The bad stuff, the whap me back in the face stuff. I've been mostly raw my bowels eliminated well. I have a huge reduction in muscle spasticity. Oh, good, and nerve pain. Good. You said a huge reduction, but you didn't say gone. And we need to get that gone. If you're still having some nerve pain here and muscle spasticity, we need to get that out of there. You can take the antispasmodic for the muscle spasticity, but again, acidosis is probably spasming. Check the parathyroid again for calcium utilization so you can strengthen those myelin sheaths and you can keep yourself out of spasticity. I feel more flexible, have more energy, and my mind is clear. I feel stronger nerve signals when I am eating fruits, and I think I am gaining more feeling overall. And this is what I was just addressing. You feel stronger nerve signals when I am eating fruits, and that's the point. And I'm just telling you, I've worked so much with neurological conditions, and I think you've seen that we're very good at it. As good as you can get out there. And, not that we can't grow and get better. No, that's always the case. And that's why you guys. Because I think with all of us together, we can get really good. And that's exciting. That's exciting for mankind, Outside of that, I'm going to be gone one of these days. You guys are going to be gone. It's exciting. Man doesn't understand that we're inspiring the whole consciousness of the human consciousness. That's important. And it's a big deal, and you guys are doing a good job. I did 3 weeks of apple juice last fall, followed by a 22-day grape fast. Wow, this guy's kicking butt. The Concords were in season, and I love them. Yeah, I love them too. You get down in that seedy part, and it's a little bit, oh man, at first, and then the juice. Nirvanic. I am finally able to start a proper herbal protocol in the beginning. Oh, now you can kick it up. Yeah, beginning of the year, thanks to part to David Greenman, who I am working with now. And I'm appreciating his help very much. I just completed a 20-day limit fast. Yeah, baby. My God, you're kicking it up. Joshua, man, which was an amazing experience along with the herbs, which was kicking my butt right now. And I move into all oranges, grapefruit, and lemons for the month of February. Oh, whoa. Now, this guy is tearing it up, baby. He's riding the bull, and the bull isn't kicking him off. Fantastic, man. The hardest part was the short days, lack of sun. Yep. Minus 15 below zero. Hell, I don't even know how you did it with that. Stayed in the house or something. I don't know how you did it, man. Temperatures and 4 to 6 feet of snow. I just stayed inside. My kidneys are having a hard time handling the oranges. Wow. And they burn like a frying pan. So, oh, really? Huh. Wow. Man, they could be pulling a lot of acids out of you. If you have good, make sure that oranges are real sweet. You want them as ripe as possible. You know, citruses will be acidic if you don't let them mature. All fruit and berries tend to be more acidic, obviously, if you don't let them ripen because you're in that nitrogen growth stage. My right kidney has a harder time than the left. Well, get on the kidney formulas. At the very least, you want 2 kidney formulas. A capsule like kidney number 1 and a tincture like kidney number 2. And work with those kidneys like that. Don't forget to work with the adrenal glands on top of them. What can I do to soothe burning kidneys? Yeah, check that pH in your saliva too, because you want to keep maintaining an alkaline pH. The grapes would give you that, but the oranges, it depends the quality of these fruits, you know. But you want to use the herbs to soothe that. You could also use the Hill tea. You could use slippery elm. Now, I've got a new stomach tea that should hit here any day. It's for those people. I've wanted to bring this out for a lot of years, but been so busy bringing other things out. And we have things we can buffer anyway. But I wanted this stomach tea because we have so many people that can't even eat hardly anything. Dimitri, you saw that when your butt got kicked after the 42-day fast. You kind of inspired me to go ahead and bring this tea out because we needed to do that because we have so many people like that can't even drink water anymore. They're so inflamed and on fire. And so slippery elm, marshmallow, chamomile, these sort of herbs are emulsion, all anti-inflammatory, mucilage healers, that sort of thing. Those are the things I would use. Aloe vera, of course, because it'll filter down through the kidneys. I haven't had much appetite for citrus nor been very hungry the past 2 days, so I am drinking water and contemplating the kiwi fruit on my counter and thinking of the apples and bananas. Well, have an apple and banana. You're doing so good, Josh. I mean, telling you, man. I'm really proud of you. I have been doing exercise to reinforce nerve function and memory. Any suggestions you have in this area? Keep it passive, but keep it strong. Wait when your kidneys are filtering. When your kidneys are filtering, you can kick your exercise up to whatever level you want. But if you're not filtering, keep it minimal. Keep it more stretching, yoga, things like that, Tai Chi, stuff like that. And then keep going up that road as you get filtration of the kidneys, because you don't want to pound the knees and the hips when there's no filtration. It'll just add to acidosis and inflammation and pain. So you want to make sure you're filtering, Joshua, before you do it, because you can get that nerve pain back because of the acidosis that you create in exercise, and that's the problem. It's okay to create acidosis if you can remove acidosis. That's obvious, you know. Any suggestions you have in this area? I will stick with this no matter how long it takes. Now, everybody can learn from Joshua, I'll tell you. That's for sure. Robe has been a bit rough. Let's see, wearing the robe, but has been a bit rough. Well, slow up a little bit. You want to take a break? Take a break. Slow down a little bit. You don't have to go yourself crazy. The thing, though, when you get yourself running toward Wellville, I think you keep running till you get there. That's my opinion. And then pull away. But sometimes some people get so ratted out, so powerful of a program, that they have to back up a little bit and balance out. Nothing at all wrong with that. You know, we're all here as a team to help each other get to Wellville. And then from there, you know, it just changes the whole nature of the experience of souls coming to this planet. Still negative and still all that, but at least it's not overwhelmingly negative. David, and you have a vehicle that halfway can get you around. David and I want to come visit you when I can stand and take some steps. Yes, and it won't be long, man. You dig in and you keep going and you keep taking your train to Wellville. Go back to the Great Fast too sometime. I feel I am moving from believing to knowing. Yeah, and that's where I come in. That's what happened to me. I went from, I think this, this all makes sense. It all fits. I went from the mind where I took the pieces and put them together. And then I said, okay, mind, you go sit on that corner. Let me observe what I put together. Oh, yeah. Oh, look, I can bring this back over here. Oh, yeah. Okay, good, good. Use the mind, but then put it to rest, and then overview. Overview is being observant, not thinking. And so you can overview better when you're not thinking, because when you're thinking, you're lost in the thought scene. Your thoughts grab your attention, and now you can't see the whole picture because each one of your thoughts has a little bit of your attention. And pretty soon, you don't have anything that's you because you're living in your thoughts. Remember, we were talking about even smells can be thoughts. You can think you're smelling, and you're not smelling at all. There's a lot of things like that that goes on. And it's so it's just learning how we get out of here. How this world works, how creation works, and how we can also be here and play and have fun and not be involved in the effects of things. And not be pulled into experiences that rip us apart in our heart and our joys. We got to get our fun and joy back here and have some fun on the road. Let's see. It can be a struggle when I'm having hard detoxes and start to think, how long is this going to take? I know it. I don't know. Do I have a picture of your eyes? If I do, let me look at them and see where you're at here. I have to just breathe and come back to the present moment. And you do. You know what? And enjoy that present moment, because the food you're eating is very flavorful. And that's the flavors. When you get used to those natural flavors of nature, it's hard to go back because there's nothing there. Any flavor with the dead animal side is spices, and then you can have those spices and put them on vegetables. You can do all kinds of spices and vegetables. I have been in a chair for nearly 4 years now, and believe me, I am tired of it. And you've only been 4 years, and I want you out of that chair, Josh. So I don't want you to take much longer, so listen, you get out of that chair soon, okay? 4 years is enough. The sad thing, there's been people in their chairs for 10, 20, 30. Roger, the one we showed you up there, his story, he was in the chair 37 years when I met him. It's a long time to be in a friggin' chair. And I hate him, and I've only been on crutches with knee surgery once from a fall, but I can tell you, I would do everything I can to get out of a friggin' chair. Everything. I want you to also think about the ultimate immune formula. Just things come, flow, the antler and the ginsengs. After a while, start getting into cell strengtheners. I think also, it's another reason I got the gland tonic out was for you guys that are the neurological cases. In strengthen, build, and that also has a residual effect into the nervous system as well. So all those herbs that are in the gland tonic can also come over and strengthen the neurological system. The brain and nerve too. I love skullcap, I love gotu kola. Those are the two high neurological herbs. I love both of those. So there's a lot of good power in the brain and nerve number 2. So you want to start on one side. As you get down that road of cleaning, you also want to start in strengthening. Now you're doing that anyway. And as you can feel the nerve impulses more when you're on the fruit. That was my point earlier. And you just happen to fit perfectly with this. And so keep pounding that pavement. But I think if you add a little of the ultimate immune, it is a strengthener. You'll start getting cell strengthening. And that might be something to think about. I truly believe it is possible. I don't believe. I know. I don't believe, Josh. I know you can get out of that chair. And when you know, there's no room for but, maybe, why not, if not. No room for those, because I know. And that's what you're doing. You're moving from believing to knowing. And that knowingness brings in the higher power of God, believe it or not. I think you're still playing with the mind. But when you go beyond I think to I know, you've now moved from mind to soul. And you are now at the highest power that you can grab a hold of and help you infuse that nervous system with the God force. And I truly believe it is possible to accomplish the goal of walking, and I want to use my experience to help inspire. And I want to work with you. You know, there's many quads and pairs that I've worked on. We should have been in the magazines, and all these quads and paraplegics are sitting out there in chairs with no form of hope. They use the stand-aid devices, they use electric devices, and I'm going, you know, like the Miami Project and things, these guys get nowhere. Same old, same old, same old. See Christopher Reeves like a rag doll. You've got to get rebuilding at the cellular level, and exercising is not how you do that. I don't know where these people come from. They get a lot of money. I remember one lady I told you about gave Miami Project $10 million. And I called her and I said, they're not getting any regeneration. We're getting regeneration. And I was explaining the difference. And come talk to our quads in Paris. She said, I've already donated all I can. I mean, oh, that figures. You know, the spiritual people are the ones that struggle a lot, but they also are the ones that deserve their awareness. I will be 30 years old on April 9th. Here's a 30-year-old guy is in a wheelchair. Got to get him out. Happy birthday. You're on April 9th. I'm born on April 13th. Aries, so you got the power of the sun sign, man. I have a lot to do. I want to do a 40 to 60-day grape fast. I want you to do that too. We got lots of good berries here. I want you to suck down the berries and suck down the grapes and pull yourself out of that chair. I love you and appreciate it. I love you too, man. Really do. Have the right. I want to move somewhere warm too. I would recommend that definitely. And this is Joshua Brown, guys. So yes, I plan to walk and come visit. You better. My dad says hello, Dad, and wanted me to ask about the numbness in his left arm and fingertips. All right, so I don't like numbness in left arm and fingertips. You know, I mean, this could be coming from the spine up here, so you want to go to a chiropractor. Remember the neural lymphatic points we talked about? You want to work clockwise on this whole, actually on both sides, and work them down to the kidneys and dig in and get this clockwise and get these neural lymphatics and try to open up this flow, especially up in here. If up in here in the upper T-spine there is too lymphatically tight, it'll actually suppress nerve function down the arms. The other side of that, of course, we always look at it as a cardiac event. Are you having numbness in the right arm or pain up the right jaw, things like that? So just in case that's a possibility, you want to get on like cayenne garlic. And since he's your dad, 30-year-old, it's possible he could have some coronary occlusions. Not to say that sounds more like a suppression of nerve flow down the arms by the lymph system. Because when the lymph, you've all felt hard and stiff like that. That's lymphs. And it can suppress, thank God it doesn't always suppress blood flow, but can. It can definitely suppress nerve flow. So you want to get that lymph moving. So again, you're going to go to dad like you. Go to the kidneys. Go to the adrenals. Start getting that lymph moving. Go to a chiropractor. Have him look at the head and neck area and maybe tweak your spine. But it's pulling, if that's the cause, then it's pulling from lymphatics. And again, getting those lymphatics cleaned and getting a clean back keeps the spine from twisting and pulling at one area or another. And so cleaning those muscles on the spine is a lymphatic event, and the kidneys are a big issue at that. And that should open that up. So just if it's a cardiac event or a suspicion of that, you want to get cayenne garlic, which will keep the vascular system dilated. You want to get into lower circulation with that, the heart formula, and get on those kidneys and adrenals and move those lymphs. Clean up the bowels. Either way, you want to get that moving and looking at that. So you want to have a chiropractor look at that. You also want to do the neural lymphatics. You want to get that lymph moving because there's nothing fun about numbness and tingling. And in the left arm, you have to then suspect possible occlusions in the arteries on this side. No. Yeah. He has cramping and arthritis in his hands. So that just shows you that he's losing calcium, of course, to all the acidosis. That's what all that is lymphatics, arthritis in that. But that also can create occlusions of the blood vessels and give you a cardiac event or stroke. So just keep moving that circulation around. He has blurry eyesight. So here we go. Use the eye wash just in case that's a lymphatic issue. You got blurry for lymph issues, or you don't want the others, the detached retinas, MACDs, all the other kind of stuff. So get up in the head area. I'd use lower and upper circulation, get the kidneys and the adrenals going, start cleaning up the bowels, everything that we all have been talking about and you guys know to be true. He is 6'2" at 59 years old, so 6'2", you know, he now could have some thyroid. I would also, just out of thinking about this, check your dad's parathyroid gland. Wouldn't hurt to use a parathyroid formula on your dad, because in time his pituitary is probably going to go down as well, and take the thyroid and parathyroid with it. Just my guess here. I am educating him on eating right. He has a hard time digesting pastas, grains, and beans anymore, and says pasta makes his chest hurt. All right. So you really need to get Dad on a good dietary program. You know, lots of fruits and berries and melons and maybe a salad a day. Give him some steamed vegetables if you want, but there's some concern here. He knows he needs a detox. Yeah. Okay, Dad, get with it like son, and let's get your son out of that chair, okay? Thanks, Joshua. Love you too, man. I love your channel. Who is this? Channel Dr. Morris, I've learned so much because of your, thanks. Keep it up. I have some questions. I'm a 19-year-old male, and I've changed my eating about 5 years ago. Wow, that's pretty good. You changed your eating at 14 years old? That's pretty good. You know, these are the sign of spiritual people, guys, when you're young and you know you don't want any meat, even if your family forces you. I was eating at Chili's one day. They used to have the Dr. Morris salad down here at the Chili's, because the chef would just, you know, really make them, you know, big. And the waitress was coming on. She said, "My God, that's a good-looking salad." And I said, "Well, you know, we used to call it the Dr. Morris salad here at Chili's, and because I know your manager is a friend of mine and everything." And she said, "You know, I never wanted to eat any meat. I've just never eaten any meat growing up. My mom forced me to eat meat, and I never liked it. It made me sick, but my family forced me." She said, "Finally, I got away, and then I didn't have to eat it anymore." I thought that was interesting, and she was probably about 19 or 20. Well, that was interesting. So 14 years old, this guy is changing his way of eating. That's a very spiritual dude. So thankfully, I started sooner in life. I eat basically the 80-10-10 diet, which is the fruitarian diet. I do eat cooked starches, even though I know fruits and veggies raw are the best. It's hard not to eat some cooked starches just because of the fungus in people and stuff, man. So I wouldn't overly sweat it. I just don't. And get in with the parasite M or something, get a hold of your funguses, and then starch is kind of like, no. You know. I remember when I got my fungus at least under control, breads didn't have anything anymore in my life. I just don't know I just don't have the income to eat all fruits and veggies, even though I'd love to. And see, that's the sad thing, you know, that, you know, we have governments and things like this that don't know how to run the world or run the states to where people can have jobs more. It's not difficult, even though I'd love to. So I have done a lot of research on health, and I have my own idea of what I should do for my conditions that I have, but I'd love to hear what you have to say, because I know you would have some great... thanks, man. So I have some mid-back pain. Now, generally, mid-back is either lungs or kidneys. We call it lower back, but in reality, it starts at L4 and L5. When you start getting above L4 or L5, you're starting to get into the lung areas. And so you have to think about that, you know. It's the area where my adrenals are. Oh, well, you know what? You go into the adrenals, and you want to get them up. Because you notice, it's interesting, is you can't fix the back until you fix the corresponding organs and glands. You know, you have to fix the organs and glands, fix the bowels, and then your back comes right with it. So you got to always get into the kidneys, you always get into the GI tract, you always get into these tissues. and get them healthy, and the back comes with that. At the same time, you're always checking parathyroid. Why? Calcium utilization. And so you always want to make sure, because when you're strengthening tissue, especially connective or skeletal, or even nerve impulses, you want to make sure you're utilizing calcium. It's in the area where my adrenals are. I've always had bags under my eyes, and have since I was a child. So he's 19 years old. You know immediately this is an adrenal kidney case. Immediately, amongst a bunch of other things, probably, depending his genetic upline, so to speak. So you know, though, I can just tell you, even if you didn't, which would be rare as a purple mouse, you really have to go after kidneys and adrenals and GI tracts. If you didn't do anything else and just spent your money on kidneys, adrenals, and GI tracts and lymphatic systems, you'd be at the heart of the problem. You know, you'd be right at the heart of that problem, which sadly must think it's normal or okay, but I know it's not. You're right, man. It's your kidneys. And then, of course, you're feeling your adrenals in your back. And so you just have to get in there and work with this. I believe I have genetic weakness in my adrenals. Well, look at your eyes. You know, get you a picture of your eyes, man, and take a look at them. There's enough information on this channel to show you how to read them. And if not, send them in and we'll read them when we get to them. And we'll look at that. I'll look at your back, I'll look at your eyes. But the eye will show his back, it'll show the adrenals, it'll show his bowels connection with the back, it'll show all of that, which, you know, will help you there. Especially his left one, he thinks he has trouble with. And that's it, you know. That's what I love about you guys. You guys are picking up, you're understanding your body more, how it works more, the relationship of the glands and things like that. And we really need this. We really need some education, don't you think? Especially in young. Now, this chap, a spiritual guy, when you change your diet at 14 years old, you definitely are a higher being here inhabiting these weaker bodies. And I just love and feel privileged to work with all of you guys, because there's some big changes needing to happen and coming on this rock. And I don't know, some probably not so good and probably some good. So I think it's important that what's going on here go on here. And if you look at the way God is, then you know that it is what it is, and it's the time for it, and it's the way it should be, and that's the only way you can look at things. I looked at, we've looked at his eyes and studied them well, and they show adrenal weakness. Oh, yeah, I should just keep reading instead of giving my opinion, because you guys are so good. We just follow each other down the ladders. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, like minds, guys. I like that. Study them well, they show adrenal weakness and my right kidney being genetically weak as well. I believe I have these weaknesses because of vaccines mostly. Well, you know what, come out of genetic high protein diets is what man's really beat them up. But I'll tell you, some of these earlier vaccines is so friggin' tough. I just can't believe, even in the earlier days of vaccinations, that pharmaceutical companies were that ignorant and that willing to poison the human body. I just you know, but I was watching this, I think it's called Unearth something. It's on Discover Channel. I think it's on channel 278 or something. It's up in there on DirecTV. But anyway, talking about finding artifacts and pyramids in America. And it's showing all these places and all these writings of Vikings, and it showed that actually the Aztecs actually came out of Georgia, I think, in Carolinas, all the way down toward Texas and Mexico. I mean, this guy's unearthing all kinds of things. And what was it? I was going to tell you about that. But, the show last night was on the World Order. Now, I found it interesting because it was about the airport in Utah and the underneath labyrinth of caves and stuff, or buildings and stuff. She only took him to the first level. But in that, what was I going to tell you? That went right out the door. Daggone it. I wanted to tell you about that, what he discovered here. But anyway, I believe these weaknesses, vaccines. Talking about on these huge rocks. And where is that? North Carolina. This group, And the guy is anonymous. Now, the banker won't even say who this guy is, but these huge, massive rocks, and they wrote the new 10 Commandments on them. The new 10 Commandments of the New World Order. And it looks like Stonehenge, except these writings are on the rocks. And it says that for a pliable, a livable, and enjoyable earth, we must keep population worldwide at 500 million. There are 7 billion, I think, people on this planet. And they expect to have a sustainable globe. Now, the World Health Organization has already been talking about this. Remember, Jesse Ventura did a show on this. Been talking about eliminating or cutting down population. Well, look, these people are all tied with pharmaceutical companies, the One World Order, the World Bank, the Trilaterals, the Club of Rome, whatever names you want to call it. And I think they've been actively pursuing the termination of humans for a lot of years. And everybody is just picking up guns and fighting, not realizing that they want you to. So it was interesting, and vaccines were so toxic to the human body, unbelievable. As well as other environmental factors. You remember the proteins. Don't lose sight of man's diet. Not just injectables from the AMA, but man's diet has brought him down. Before the AMA was even thought of, man was going down. Short-lived. Things like that from these high-protein diets. Protein wrecks kidneys, guys. And I've had so much proof of that. I don't know how much to say, but protein diets wreck kidneys. And there's been plenty of studies to show it's linked to bowel cancer. What would be it's tissue, the same cells, basically, just colon cells or GI tract cells versus kidney cells. Still cells. Still have the same mitochondria, chromosomes, DNAs, you know. Everyone's a little individual, though. So the same damage that damages, or same chemistry that damages the GI tract is going to damage what? In other words, the chemotherapy is not going to just damage or kill damaged cells. It's going to damage all your cells. And that was the latest study done on chemo. I can't figure out why the oncologists aren't being raided and arrested right now. After that study, it showed that chemotherapy damages healthy cells to the extent of causing more cancer, and yet we are continuing to allow chemotherapy to be used. These guys ought to be arrested and put in jail right now. Anybody that uses chemo. And I was talking to a dialysis patient, and I forgot to tell him, and this is Allie, hi Allie, tell him about the dialysis drugs that are now on the list of bad drugs, these chemo dialysis drugs. Is it any wonder it's hard for you guys that are on dialysis to get yourself off of there? Because the chemicals that they're giving you is damaging your kidneys further on top of it. I mean, it's an insanity that's got to be stopped. You just got to stop it. Or mankind doesn't exist, so it's just got to be stopped. You know, we got to raise our level of consciousness and join at a higher level of healing each other. Okay, I can't even eat without feeling the strain on my adrenals. Wow. And the pain from it. No kidding. Well, you could have a cyst on it. You could have a tumor on it. You know, you want to get yourself up there and do just what Josh is doing, but dive yourself into a 20, 30, 40-day grape fast. Really start pulling on those kidneys. Get your kidneys filtering, because you can't change the outcome of the adrenals unless your kidneys can filter, because everything's hitting a wall. And then backing back up too. So once you get those kidneys filtering, everybody's moving. All the flow. There's no backing up. There's no accelerated inflammation or swelling or tumors being formed. Everything is moving. So you really want to get getting those kidneys filtering no matter what. And if you don't have much money, go for the kidney formulas and an adrenal formula, and then hit the fasting. Okay. As a child, because that's not good. If you're feeling that like that, you must have some atrophy in that adrenal, and that's not. We don't want to think that way. We want to get those kidneys filtering and healed up so they can pull the adrenals, and everybody else come pulling out. As a child, I had fainting spells. Oh man. Okay. Well, here it is. Here it is, guys. As a young child, he had fainting spells and chronic low blood pressure. Man, you want to get on those adrenal 400s and probably pop 2 or 3 times a day. That's what I'd be doing, because you can't live like this. This is bad stuff. You'll lose your nervous system completely. Look at this young lad. So he was driven inside to find truth. Wow. The stupid doctors told me it was a good thing. That's what I'm talking about. We can't have this ignorance anymore. This child could have been helped earlier on and saved a lot. But of course it meant that way, because look at him. Now he's getting into health. Now he started at 14. So God has a plan for this dude. You know, you're and all of you guys, let me tell you, this is some neat stuff coming. This is a lot of fun stuff coming for you guys, because you can be detached from what's going to happen outside of you guys. Okay? Yeah, I know, I hear this all the time. Low blood pressure, oh, it's good. It's good. It's the first step to high blood pressure, and it's the first step to losing the nervous system and everything else. And by the time you see chronic low blood pressure, did you see nerve rings in your eyes? That's what I want to. Do you see a lot of nerve rings and stuff in your eyes too? Because if you have that chronic of adrenal, you've got to have some chronic autonomic nervous system problems. Well, you were fainting. Oh, man. That's too bad. They told me to seriously eat McDonald's potato chips for the salt to help my adrenals. Which is a joke. Yep, it sure is. It's the same thing they tell my dad, who just believes whatever the doctors say. Isn't it sad? It's sad. But that's why you guys are so important, to develop your knowingness, your truth, your power, as well as your joy, and stand tall and strong. You be the cause. You don't let other people come in and wipe you and blow you around like a leaf in the wind, and pull you here emotionally and pull you there emotionally. Don't let medical doctors pull you. Don't let medical doctors fill you full of fear. Don't let naturopaths fill you full of fear. Don't let anybody fill you full of fear. You be strong. The buck stops with you. You are here because God put you here. You are here because you're a piece of God. Realize that and accept your divinity, because you're a piece of God. You're not something God created separate. Can't do that. It's all in the all. It can't create something outside of itself. Hasn't that ability, because it's all things. So you can't create something. If you're everything, you can't create something outside of that, because there's nothing outside of that. It's inclusive. So when you start looking at it spiritually, I'm going to do a spiritual video coming up, and we'll talk about things like this. You know, so you can understand that, why we see the way we see. And when you understand that, then it goes, oh yeah, you know, and it helps you to become the strong and the strength you need to be. You know, don't let people, because the problem with the young people is that they have parents that listen to medical doctors, and the children are wards of the state. Oh, God. Oh, I need a drink. Not as strong as I like, but it'll do. Let me see here. I actually don't drink. I don't drink any alcohol. If I ever did, it would be tawny port, Portugal wine, tawny port, and about 50-year-old tawny port. I have some 20-year-old at home, only for a rare occasion, but I get headaches every time I drink alcohol. So I don't drink. Don't touch the stuff. But a good margarita sounds good. I just can't take it. My dad believes whatever the doctors say. I also used to have chronic headaches. God, poor guy. Even since I changed my water from tap to RO water, I've almost never had one again. Look at that crap. Fluorides, chlorines. My God, it's almost like man is just unconsciously poisoning himself and life and nature. We don't care. Poison, poison, poison. Jesus, one man got totally out of balance. What fruits would be the best to heal my adrenals? Berries more than fruits, but definitely grapes. But berries, blueberries, blackberries, all these kind of berries. I tell you though, with this, I would do two things if I was you. I would do a glandular adrenal, but I would do an herbal adrenal too. And I would eat the heck out of berries and fruits. That's what you need anyway. And that'll help to empower that. Might check your pituitary if there's any relationship, but if you saw a spot in your adrenals, I imagine berries and melons. See, I don't have to say anything because you guys are so smart. My God, I imagine berries and melons. I'm a Scorpio, and they're whipping the tail, huh? And I've heard that eating watery foods in general will be great for me. Well, I think they're great for everybody because I'm akin to the water element. What herbs can I use for all of this adrenal junk and kidney filtering? I'd get on at least 2 kidney formulas, and like I said, an herbal adrenal and a glandular adrenal, especially when you're dealing at that low, because you run the risk of going back low again a little bit when you're on raw, because you're off of all stimulants, and unless you got in there and it increased the health of that adrenal, it's possible to re-experience as adrenal settles down from inflammation. You know, inflammation, or let me say acidosis more appropriately, is a stimulant at a point. And at a certain point, estrogen and testosterone are stimulants. 2 acids, though, go the other way and decay and destroy. That's why estrogen and testosterone are milder pH acids as opposed to, let's say, cell waste, which like phosphoric acid, carbonic, lactic, that sort of thing, are around 3. Hot. I also noticed that I had an orange spot on my heart area. Well, that's sulfur in the heart. I don't know. That doesn't sound too good. Well, detoxify. Get that. Might just be stuck in your colon wall there, but get that out of there. Because you could have, like I said, where the colon heart is there, you could have a weakness or like a sulfur or something that's creating a little spasticity. You could actually get fluttering of the heart from it. They don't think about going to the spot where the heart came off the embryonic trunk. They don't think about that. Thank God our field has some greats like Jensen and Walker and all these great practitioners. That's why I have, in class, guys, why I bring those little white books from health research, because these are the old greats and you don't get to read about them too much. And you want to go back and read some of these old greats and you'll get a greater understanding, because a lot of these were medical doctors that realized the fallacy of their thinking and came into our field and started tearing it up, started looking at proteins going, wow, this is ridiculous. We can't have proteins. So there's some great books in the 18 and 1900s there that really will help you to see the journey of what's been taking place behind the scenes. Because when I got into fruitarianism, it was almost underground. You know, even health food stores back in the late 60s and early 70s were underground. I remember the health food store at IU was truly underground. It was in a basement. It's just that how health has been so kicked and suppressed, and finally raising its little head like a new flower, trying to bloom and show the world its beauty. Also notice that we're going to detox that right out of there, man. What can I do to move that toxicity from my heart? Please answer these in your next video. Thank you very much. Well, you got to move lymph. You're moving blood. You got to move lymph. To get rid of sulfur or any of these spots, you've just got to move lymph. I'd get my bowels cleaned up, get my kidneys filtering, use the GI broom, and I'd probably find that sulfur in your GI tract. If it's in the heart itself, it's all lymph that has to deal with that. It's only your lymph system that can take that out of there, not the blood. So again, got to honk on it. And your adrenals are a major component to the lymph system because it controls the kidneys they sit on. And the sodium-potassium balance, I mean, you can go on and on down that road. Just Google the adrenal glands and read what we at least know about them. G-Day from Australia. Yeah! Your YouTubes continue being a breath of... Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's been swirling around our planet. I hope so. We all need to swirl this information around and let people be able to grab a hold and get the nectar for themselves and get themselves well. The suffering is overwhelming. And we just can't have... We have to stop this suffering. It's just too much suffering of that. And learning, it's time for us to wake up about how we create karma and realize that your next experience is based upon what you're doing right now. How you think, how you feel, how you express yourself is what you're creating your next journey. It's not what's just happening to you in the moment. It's what's developing your future. And if you want to stay and come back to a place like this, then play in the field of dreams here all you want. If you are kind of done with this level and you want a lighter body and you want to have ability to move by thought and a greater understanding of and love emanating from you and a greater feeling of allness, then stop creating things in the physical world and live in that eternal now. And learn to grab a hold of that mind. Use it only when you need information. And you'll stop that. You'll start burning off the karma, as they say. You'll start burning up that which is stored for you that you've created. And now you're living totally in that moment. And because you create your future. Just remember that. It's just what's going on here. This is a created universe. But there's a reason, again, this is happening. And it is for you. Which is still, when I say for you, it's for God, because you are, when I look at you and talk to you, I consider I'm talking to God. Might be an individualized aspect of God, but I'm still talking to God. Because it's all in the all. There is nothing outside of it. You can't have something outside of the all, or you have an endless possibility of never reaching any creative force or that which creates. I mean, you can go on and on and on in that kind of thinking, and I want to go on here. Thank you for that. Who is this? Oh, Monica. Thanks, sweetheart. Love you, honey. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. My question is about how I have read about people with labeled terminal illness. Yeah, exactly, labeled. And so many people labeled with terminal illness we can save. I would say probably 80% of them we can save. That's a lot. Now, you remember, it's touch and go planet, and if, you're here and time to go. When you get older and you want to go, whatever. But I'm talking about the kids that are dying from cancers. I'm talking about unkilled, and I'm talking about the younger people. Like all these 16 and 17 and 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds. It's just it's sad. Who have had divine intervention or mind over matter approaches reverse their imbalanced bodies back to health. I've read that too. Have I seen them? Have I talked with them? I've had people in here making claims. I had a lady in town had a real bad brain bleed, and she went to this spiritual healer and supposedly got it corrected. I saw her the other day. She didn't look too good. So I don't know. You know what? I believe in divine healing, no question. Jensen gave me a lot of films of psychic healers down in Brazil and things, and I can't remember where this particular one was, but him and Rudy, they had their hands in people and everything else. It's pretty cool stuff, I love all that kind of stuff. I feel, though, that you have to physically get into the body to remove physical chemistry. There's some things you got to do physically. You can't just expect higher levels to filtrate the lower levels and make a change, because this level, every level is of its own. And that's the interesting thing. You can, as consciousness, you can perceive life as infinite. Not so at the physical. This isn't an infinite body. You're an infinite being using a finite body. And this will always be a finite body. This will always be a finite world. But as you get away from so much density of magnetics and chemistry, the feeling of infiniteness starts coming through you and more and more. And as that happens, you start to expand. You start to feel unlimited. You start to see we're all connected. You start to feel that everything is part of the one again. This isn't just ideas and concepts. These are experiences. And they're experiences that happen more outside of the mind. But, cosmic consciousness is an incredible nirvanic experience. Been there, done it. Incredible. I can't even explain that to you. I found myself lifted up into the mental worlds, into the universal mind, and pretty soon I started feeling and seeing and merging. I felt one with everything there, and I started getting nirvanic. I started getting ecstasy and joy, and I realized me and everything else were all from the same source. We all were the same, individualized. And I can't remember how long I spent there, but it was incredible. I can't even explain that experience. And then that's when I knew that the universal mind, all the teachings that were brought down from the universal mind, all these things were somewhat accurate in depicting the experiences that one could have there. So the map makers, like Holmes and Twitchell and Monroe, and these are map makers. They map out of body. They map out the heavens, and they bring it back and say, hey, look at the journeys we can have here. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the fun. This rock is just so many things to do. You visit the same restaurant, you go to the same movie, you get the same thing, you expect the same thing. Not so when you get out of these worlds, maybe. Man. Okay. They may not even have been eating fully raw to return back to health. Okay, I'm coming. I'm going to finish this up. Okay. All right. Well, but there is such a thing as divine healing. I just have not seen a lot of it in a factual sense. I know there's great healings. I know that in Christianity there's this water, I can't remember, Saint Mary or something. But anyway, I've heard some divine healings, good stuff. But you notice, and I've seen some people that get from ministers and stuff some of these healings, but they seem to get their problems back in time. And I just think, you know what? Grab the bull by the horns and realize you're just as much a part of the divinity as everyone else. And that you want to heal the right way. You want to follow the laws of nature and the laws of God because you're a divine being. And in following that, you feel good on all levels. So I think that if you're sitting there waiting for a divine healing, I wouldn't. I would grab the reins of life by my hands and take forth and go forth. Be the God you are. That's the true healer. You are the healer and the healing. Dr. Moore says raw food is just a channel towards connecting with... Exactly. If you want to look at this spiritually, you're bringing up an excellent point, Monica. And that is that if you look at the foods, this is just spirit in vibrational form and in chemical form. Remember, chemistry is just frequencies of electromagnetic energy. Spirit is just part of frequencies of electromagnetic energy. It's intelligent. Energy is consciousness. Stepped down and isolated into frequencies or into isolates of chemistry and then bonded. But all of it flows out of the goo of consciousness, of intelligence of God. So absolutely, when you're eating raw, you're eating a higher element of God. When you cook it, you're destroying that energy. Still God, but down at its lower levels. And if you want to experience higher levels, or do you want to experience the lower levels of pain and unhappiness and of greed and things like that, or experience heightened ecstasy and joy and love and oneness? And it's all about picking your choices. All about energy. Do you want living food to have living experiences in a living body, or do you want a dead body and unhappiness and eat dead food? Yeah, huh? You want the dead food and steaks, huh? All right. So you're getting it. See, Monica, you're another spiritual soul, and I love all you spiritual guys and gals because that's exactly, I'm coming, that's exactly what it requires. And what you're doing, you're opening up to this, and you're seeing it exactly the way I see it. You're just consuming spirit in an isolated form, but in an energetic form. So we are pulling ourselves more into the God force by the foods, by going beyond thought. We're pulling ourselves out of creation and taking a look at it and deciding that, you know what, I'm going to enjoy creation. Like remember John Travolta in the movie Michael? Came down, enjoyed life, fought the bull, loved the women. Detachment. And then went back into the heavens. Close the bank down, so to speak. That's the beauty of detachment. The joy of involvement without involvement. The joy of doing without doing. Remember those old sayings in spirituality? In which case, the miraculous healed terminal ill still have not gotten out of needing detoxification. Right on, baby. They need to go and tackle this. They're giving a reprieve. They're giving a little bit of an upliftment. Now take that power that you received and run with it and incorporate it in everything you do. Words are vibrations, frequencies. Everything are frequencies and vibrations. Love is a much greater frequency than hate. Everything has attachment to that, of energy and chemistry here. If we align ourselves with the negative and the low energies, and that's what we have as our experiences. You guys are getting this so well. I love this. It's like some people's journeys towards health don't seem to involve raw foods, yet they still find liberation from suffering. They'll get there, though. You know what? We'll all have to get there. You guys are just advanced in that thinking. But everyone has to go there. We can't live like we did. We have to cut the pages of history sometime and create new history. We're just cycling through history. But this is a created universe and meant to be that way, by the way. But we must then enter that with a higher level and make a mutation to that to a higher level. And just what you guys are seeing here. Some people will never get it with spiritual healing. I've seen it. But you know, that's just the way it is. It was that little bit of light for that soul to realize there is God. You guys know how to have it directly. I'm giving you all the keys to have that God force directly in every way, shape, or form, both from the worlds to you and from you down to the worlds. Could you clarify, please, between needing raw to heal and perhaps not needing raw to heal? I can tell you, though. Don't think you'll get too trapped into that, because if you don't have the raw, you don't heal well. You might get a spiritual healing once in a blue moon. Take it, enjoy it, embrace it. But I'm telling you, it's rare as a pink elephant. You just don't get them much. And it's all I can tell you is that you grab health and healing yourself, and you grab it, because raw is always better. You know, we got to get out of cooked totally. Someday we will be out. The human will be out of cooking anything. We'll be just like the other species. We'll consume our foods in its natural state. Right now, we still have stoves, ovens, things like that. Between reading, someone asked me about microwaves here too, and I wanted to get into that, but I have to go here in a minute. I got so many good questions. Don't ever use microwaves. I think it was Stanford, maybe? Stanford, one of the universities, did a study on microwaves way back in the 70s. And at that moment, it exposed how it radically changes the DNA of the foods. And it's so scary that, people just started throwing away their microwaves. The problem is that study's long forgotten and not good. Nobody should be using microwaves. Between needing raw to, I feel that more clarity is needed on this topic, as I'd rather not give people the excuse to use faith over fresh fruit. Exactly. And I'm infinitely, I love you, Monica, thanks. Yeah, exactly. You can have, I don't even like to use the word faith. I mean, there's a point where you have to have, just like, I think it was, who was it earlier, said he had, he went from belief to knowingness. And that's the thing. You got to have a little faith, and that faith comes around with some intellectualism of things that you know, things you've seen, your experiences, and things like that. That is a point. Because outside of that, it's knowingness. So that the mental concepts can give you the faith or the belief that something is possible. The thing is, though, that some of these things teach you things that are not possible, that are not true, that are propaganda and stuff like that. But with that said, you must move into a knowingness. And those that move into a knowingness are those that put on the robe, get on the bull, strap yourselves in, and go for it. Those are the knowers. Those that have taken their hands and straightened them up. Those that went from wheelchairs to walking. Those that went from canes to walking, those that went from extreme pain to vibrancy and health. That's what I'm talking about, and that's knowers, because you lived it, you've been there. So yeah, you have to have a little faith and a little belief to get yourself kicking. But when you see and observe and you have other beings impressing the truth on you, it's helpful. You surround, it's what I did. I surrounded myself with raw food books. I surrounded myself with those that, whenever I could find anyone, with those that had that same feeling, and we all help each other. It's hard in a world like this because you have the negative forces chomping at your heels all the time. And when you discover something exciting and beautiful and loving, there's that negative force coming and chomping at you, but and if, and here's someone else that tries to pull that away, and it's that back and forth, positive and negative again. But if you can pull yourself out of that mind where you're not in duality, in consciousness, your bodies are, but you're not, that's where you're away from that. Doesn't matter what happens in creation. So what? I'm always eternally now. Whether I'm in a physical body, I'm in a mental body, I'm whatever body I'm in, whatever level of creation I'm playing in, or I'm not in creation at all. Retain your intelligence and your awareness as much as you can. Keep trying to remember that. I know. So I have to say that people can have faith, but if you're waiting for a divine healing, you might have to suffer a while, you know. God, you have to understand that. And I look at this like masters and chelas, or masters and students. There's a point where you have to not be the student anymore. You have to be the master. Me, I like to teach masters how to be masters. Because you have masters and then you have the master's masters. And those are the people I like. The Shavis Tabrises of the worlds. The Fubi Kwanzas of the worlds. The Rebbe's Tarases of the world. These are masters' masters. And these are the people I'm drawn to. Because we have to start realizing that you're sitting there waiting for faith or waiting for God to do something when you have all the power to do it yourself. And that you are a part of that. You're just waiting for yourself to communicate to yourself. I mean, that's basically what's going on there. So we need to get people more spiritualized too, so they're aware of their divinity, and that they're not waiting on themselves to heal themselves. They're waiting on themselves to embrace health and vitality, to do those things you need to do on all levels. You have to use physical means to get physical bodies healthy, emotional means to get emotional bodies healthy, thoughts, all these things. Each body has its own set of laws. But good question, guys, and good question, Monica. I got to go. I got so many questions. Oh, these two are the same. All right, so maybe I can read one more. Hi, my sister told me about your herbs. I wanted to know if you had any herbs for my husband's back. He had 3 back surgeries and he's still having problems with it. He's also had what you call nerves cauterized. Or fused of the nerves on his back. It looked like acupuncture to me. Please let me know if you can help him. He used to be so active. Also, can I call and talk to someone? Thanking you in advance. Patricia Hightower. Patricia, you call in here and get him on a program, but I don't have the time to get into it. But you want to got to fix the kidneys and adrenals. You got to get his lymph. And the video I talked just before this one, or 2 back, on moving that down the back, the guy's dad with the numbness in the fingers and hand, you want to treat it like that. You want to go in, you start moving that lymph down that spine, because no matter what surgeries, you haven't done anything to fix this problem. You know, that's the mistake that we think a surgeon's going to get in and fix the problem. He can only repair that which has been damaged. He can't fix the inflammation. He can't remove the lymph system. So that's why these surgeries never heal, and these places can re-deteriorate or deteriorate in other places. So, Patricia, your husband's got to get on a program here and get himself detoxed, get his kidneys filtering, get the lymph moving, get all this acidosis out of his spine, check his parathyroid so he's utilizing calcium so he can rebuild that spine, or he could get heavy scar tissue, still calcifications, and go on down a bad road on that. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me. I appreciate it. I know that I'm slow at getting to all your letters here, but there's so much. Each of your questions require an X amount of time for me to get. And then I do believe that relative questions, for when one of you have a question, it's good for 1,000 of you. Because we're all of the same, stuff here. And so we all suffer accordingly. So So I love you guys, and I'm real proud to be a part of this whole thing, and happy to work with you guys, and let's keep healing them up, and have a now day. Love you all. May the blessings be.